Rick, you're willing to borrow from California, or you're willing to borrow from Texas?
Well, the Texas Board of Education, the elected Texas Board of Education, doesn't happen, just doesn't want to face the fact that the United States was founded mostly by people who do not share their particular religious leanings. Washington was a deist. Most of the framers were deists. Some of them were atheists. Either they were, or some of them, well, even Paine was a deist. But have you read The Age of Reason?
Oh, he's very anti.
Oh, God.
It makes Dwarfy Doll look like Benedict XVI.
It does. Christopher Hitchens looked like Rick Warren. And the Texas Board of Education specifically said they wanted to combat the notion that the Enlightenment was something that had to do with the American Revolution, that there was some influence by the Enlightenment here. And this is really kind of a step toward medievalism on the part of the ignorances and bigots who have the majority of Texas State Board.
The trouble with Texas is there's such a large textbook market that they effectively don't so much you
kind
can
of
do.
reputation. But it's great, it's great for Texas humor.
Let's go back to this side.
And I love Texas liberals. They all have really great senses of humor because it's the only way they can get some money.
Last question.
Last question was a lot of pressure. But here goes. I'm Dave Nelson. When I was growing up, parties had much bigger tents. The Democrats were clearly more to the left, but yet they had Wayne Morse, but also Harry Byrd. Republicans were more to the right. They had people like William Jenner, Sarah Hoffman, I mentioned a forgotten name, but also Jacob Javits and Case. I'm wondering if you gentlemen think that was a healthier situation, and probably more to the point, is there any going back to that, or are them days gone forever?
Are we going to get any big tents anytime soon?
Well, I think we now have we now have a parliamentary Republican Party. I mean, we do still have a center. The Democratic Party is still kind of a center. There's a center-left coalition. The middle now sits in the Democratic Party, and the Republicans are like a disciplined European party at the right. But we don't have they're like a parliamentary party, but we don't have a parliamentary system. So, to some extent, the big tent parties of old were products of the Democratic Party. It was a product of the vaccine, the Republican Party, kind of enlightened industrialists. I don't know. They're the social basis for those big tent parties has sort of gone. But the problem is we don't have a majoritarian. We don't really have a majoritarian, vigorous government. Again, I return to this theme. I think it's just that the polarization of parties is just sort of bringing out some of the problems that are inherent in the structure. I don't see anything to do about it other than to change the structure. So the majority can rule.
I wonder if World War II didn't have a lot to do with the big tent quality of the two parties that many of us remember, or at least was in our very recent past. That was a gigantic national effort in which really after Pearl Harbor everybody joined. Pearl Harbor ended people's reservations about it. And also, I mean, it had a lot of effects. I think it made Roosevelt, helped make Roosevelt pull in his horns on being as left of center as he had been. And then he became Dr. War, Dr. New Deal, Dr. Save the Economy. And this had effects that lasted for decades because people lasted. They grew up in that experience, and then they became politicians, and they stayed around for years. I think you could look to earlier eras of American politics where you would see certainly the frenzy that we have, maybe not the polarization within the parties, but you know, I think World War II is something that often ought to be thought of when you think of a question of the form of why does everything suck so much right now? And, you know, and because in our heads is a kind of World War II formed paradigm. Just a thought.
No, that's I agree. That's really right.
A good note to end on. Let's thank our civil There will be an opportunity to have book signings, and I think those are